Hey Ray, hey Ariel, how's it going? Sorry, can't hear you. It says connecting. Okay, we're good.
Yes, I'm on. Hello, everyone. I'm just going to give it a couple more minutes for folks to join. My name is Ariel Balagoon. I am the founder of Infinitely Elevated Career Coaching and Consulting. I have a wonderful, amazing panel of other coaches. They're going to introduce themselves as well. I don't want to do them any disservice, but we're going to kick it off in a few minutes. But I'm so glad you're here. I'm hoping that you can ask all of your burning questions that you have. We have just a wealth of knowledge and experience, and we're looking to just share it, give you some just open forum feedback and in the ways that you need it in real time so that you can take your job search journey to the next level. All right, so let's wait 1 or 2 more minutes, and we'll kick off other introductions shortly. Okay, cool. And I'll just be on mute. I'm seeing if anybody else needs to join, or if you want to grab some water, this is your time. Cool. All right. And while we're waiting, if I haven't met, I think a few of you actually, if you want to just put in the chat, just where you're from, quick intro, if you have any questions on, just want to drop it in, we can get started right away with that. We do have a couple of different questions or prompts that we can go through as well as coaches, but just drop in, hey, your name, where you're from, and if there's anything you're really looking to take away from today, go ahead and drop that into the chat too. Good to see Joseph.
Hey Julian, how's it going?
There you
What's
are.
up? What's up?
What's up, Julian?
What's up? What's up? MPH,
What up?
elevated. How's it going?
Yeah. Good. We're giving folks a couple more minutes to hop into the Zoom. We'll do some introduction of the four coaches we have today. Julian, I want to see if you and Joseph can also pop in too and do some intros because you both have been very pivotal, at least for me and for Brian, I'm sure, and I know for Danny as well. And so I definitely want to give y'all a minute too. But yeah, lots of information, lots of like y'all. I'm getting like goosebumps right now because like there's just so much wealth of information that's about to come your way. So I'm super excited. Cool.
Happy
Brian, how
to.
are you doing on? Okay, perfect. Any more folks in the waiting room or anything like that? Okay, cool. So if we have more folks come on, it's okay. We'll just do a quick recap. Again, my name is Ariel. I am the founder of Infinitely Elevated. I am a career coach and consultant. We have other folks, if you saw the flyer, other folks that are coaches and are ready and willing. I'm going to pass it over to Brian first, and then you can choose who's next to do a quick introduction about you, your experience, what you bring into the table today, just all of our excitement here in one place.
Yeah, I also like to add, Julian does a great job at kind of breaking the ice with a favorite animal that you represent. And I want to bring that back to
Ooh.
you, Ariel, because you just went, but I really want to know what's your favorite animal and maybe why?
My favorite, so there's two.
Okay.
Sorry, sorry in advance. So elephant has always been like my my
Wow.
animal. Just big in the room, like, and I liken that to the fact that when I was back in tech, I was kind of the one and only. I was literally the elephant in the room. I am a Black professional in these spaces where I'm advising C-suite executives, VPs on operations and strategy and cross-team collaboration and literally getting stuff done. And so, by virtue of all of that, an elephant is where I'm at. But a little little quick story about why I became a career coach. I was in the middle of a career transition. I was on a hike and I was thinking about my next steps in my career, and I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I knew I wanted to help people. And on my hike back, I turned around and I said, okay, let's think about what's next. And I was like, maybe I should just do career coaching. Like, that's kind of my knack. I've been coaching and mentoring people and managing people for years. Y'all, I saw this deer come out of nowhere, and it looked me dead in the face. And I said, well, dear, I don't want to do a 12-mile loop, so I kind of need to pass you to go over this this little bridge. It's a walking bridge to get over the lake and get back to my car. And I looked it up. The deer is one of the strongest animals you can see as a sign from the universe. And that day, I decided to become a career coach and literally started charting my path as a career coach, networking, lots of education and research. So those are my two animals. I couldn't pick one, but because they're both are really pivotal. But that's me, elephant and a deer. If I could merge them together, I don't know what we would call it. So Brian, back to you.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for that. My name is Brian Qua, founder of MPH Tech Academy. I have my awesome teammates over here as well. Danny, Joseph, and Julian, they're part of the tag group. Everyone is, excited to support each other in these ambiguous times. A little bit about me. First gen Asian American, grew up in a low income household, didn't really have, actual professional mentors or coaches growing up, besides maybe my parents, but my parents barely had an education. So where does that leave me? So I kind of went on my own spiritual journey, try to find my own thing. And it wasn't until I found a mentorship boot camp program that broke me into tech sales specifically, and with the core frameworks of resume, LinkedIn optimization, networking on LinkedIn, and then interview prepping. So these are the core foundational things that I've learned that I now kind of teach after, 4 to 5 years of being in tech with companies like Uber, YouTube, Google, BetterUp, and just starting off this new venture with this amazing team right here. But yeah, excited to be here. My animal is also the elephant. So that's why I got super excited when you said the same thing. And I'm seeing a lot of elephants now that we keep asking this question. And the reason why I like the elephant is because it's mainly my dad. While I was watching Discovery Channel with him when I was growing up, he pointed and said, "That's my favorite animal." I said, "Why?" I thought, maybe you wanted to be king of the jungle, kind of like a lion or something like that. And he's like, "Well, elephant is literally the largest animal. However, it's very humble. Like it doesn't attack anyone for its, food, prey. It just minds its own business. It's well respected in the animal kingdom, and they have memory, right? They actually mourn like for others, and they never forget. So I kind of want to embody that because I never want to forget where I came from, my humble beginnings of where I am and where I used to be, and how I want to help others do the same thing and show up every single day. So yeah, and I get to do that through career coaching. So it's really honestly a privilege, and I'm grateful to be here. Cool. I guess I'll pass it on to someone. Julian.
All right. Thank you all. Thank you for having me here, Ariel, and as well as Brian. And did I pronounce your name right? Ariel or Ariel? How do I pronounce your
Ariel.
name?
Ariel.
Ariel. That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So I was right. All right. Sweet. Awesome. My name is Julian Sproul, and I have the privilege of meeting both Ariel as well as Brian at the Career Fest, which we did in San Francisco about 2 months ago. And it was a very amazing event. We did a spin on the career fair, made it a uncareer fair. I titled it Burning Man for Job Seekers. And it was an amazing opportunity to be able to see all of us in this world of supporting job seekers coming together. We had 11 plus career coaches, 9 amazing speakers and 200 plus job seekers that came to the event. And then through it, started to build this fruitful partnership with Brian as well as Joseph, who's on the call as well. And super excited now to be launching our guaranteed placement package offering with Talent for Good, which is pretty much we support you through the entirety of your job search. And until you get placed, and we help you get placed. And it's wild that this is an offering that is being tested and validated in the market. I never thought I would see the day. I've been in recruiting for the last decade, and the fact that there is a model here in which that we are asking job seekers to pay to place them is indicative of how this industry has changed. And so we need to think about outside of the box different ways of really being able to support job seekers and really being here to be really at the forefront of this new age that we're in, this new era that we're in, with everything involved. So really excited to be here and to be able to provide any type of support and guidance that I can provide. So thank you so much. And the animal that I embody, ooh, today I feel like I'm here in Evergreen, Colorado, with my friends who are opening up an amazing art gallery out here, and it's called Catalyst Art Gallery. And if any of you are in Colorado, don't know where everyone is, but like come check it out, in Denver. And I'm feeling like I'm a bear in Evergreen, Colorado right now, and I'm like also a butterfly with my wings because I'm like not at home and I'm just on this flight path. So a bear butterfly, a buttery bear, as you could say. All right, I'm send it over to Danny here.
Thanks, Julian. Hey, everybody. My name is Danny. I'm an SDR with MPH. I spent most of my career with JP Morgan's private bank, so I've been in finance, in the finance industry pretty much my whole career until I just pivoted over recently into tech. And I would say the one thing I've been really working on is content creation and realizing how important that is, and just being able to really help people and share how content creation really changed my directory. And I would say the animal that I really resonate with, and it's not as powerful as cool as your guys' is, but I guess the panda, just because my mom always refers to me as her little panda. So that's just what it is, a panda. And I'll send it over to Desiree.
Hi there, still doing work things, but hi there, I'm Desiree. I am a data scientist turned product. I have been in the industry for about 15 years. I am currently at Verizon as the person who handles a lot of the movement and understands how to track humans in the retail on the retail side of things. The animal that I would choose is an owl because owls are amazing. Also, who doesn't want an owl? I've been hoping to find one in the woods one day to help save it, and then I take it back home, and then my husband basically tell me no. But yes, owls are my favorite animal, and as well as snakes. But that's a whole nother conversation because Team Slytherin is a whole thing. But yes, I'm really excited to jump into this. I've been doing coaching for a while, as I am in the level of where I am. You don't really see oftentimes many faces that look like me. And I think that's sometimes something that we have to be able to engage with to be able to have diversity of the things that we see in the data and the data side of things. Your code is only as good as the engineer behind it. And if you have only one thought process behind it, you'll only get the same type of rhetoric back. So I'm happy to be here, and let's have a fun time and jump in.
All right, last but not least, Joseph, if you wanted to do a quick intro before we get started. We already have a few questions in the chat. Again, feel free to do a quick intro, drop in your questions. I'm taking notes of those as well. But just one more introduction if we can, and then we'll jump into some questions.
Sure. Hey, this is Joseph Ye. I'm part of the team at here with Tide for Good as well as NPH. Really just wanted here to be more support. So I've been a recruiter for over 14 years in career coach as well. So I'll pass it over to you, everyone.
Thank you, Joseph. Cool. So I'm just going to start from the top. Anthony, thank you for your question. I really do appreciate it. So Anthony is asking about when someone reaches out to me on LinkedIn or anywhere else for that matter, where can you check the credentials? He's saying that he finds that many people are redirecting him to like Fiverr so that they can maybe redo his resume. And Anthony, feel free to chime in and add more insider color. But he's asking for advice on this and like really checking credentials to see who's out there, who's reaching out to you, if it's like an actual salesy kind of thing is what I'm hearing, or is it like a real job opportunity? Like I don't want to waste my time being sold something that's not really why I'm here. I really want to connect with recruiters and find a job, not be sold something that I may not be looking at this time. Anybody want to take that first?
Sure, I'll take it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say you're on that platform already, right? LinkedIn. And I feel like LinkedIn is becoming the social platform to be on, but not only that, the social proof, right? And that's your double check, so to speak. Who's reaching out? What's their profile looking like? Who's in their connections? And how long have they been doing this for? I don't think anytime you have to go off platform aside from a personal site, right? Like if someone's redirecting you to another website, I would be wary because there's a lot of spam out there and people fishing for your information. So just be careful on that. But I'd say you have so many awesome resources right here. If you're unsure of anything job related, feel free to ask us. If we can't help you out, we'll point you into the right direction.
Yeah, you can also check and see if that person has verified themselves. If it is like a blatantly like I have no relation connection or anything to this person, see if they have verified themselves on the LinkedIn platform as well. That's another shortcut. Julian, I saw your hand raised. What's up?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the reasons why I got into being a job search coach. Because I was just like so just annoyed and frustrated by how many of my clients were telling me that there were, and clients meaning like I was doing pro bono recruiting, coaching, and support for job seekers when there was just the massive layoffs going on. And they kept telling me that people were soliciting to them in these predatory ways, taking advantage of them, and they didn't even know what the hell they were talking about. And it was literally like it felt like it was a very consistent thing that I was seeing. So Anthony, great question. I would just say just check their credentials. Yo, just reach out to them and be like, why are you qualified? Like straight up. Like if I got that, I would be like, well, I'm qualified because the fact that I have a decade of, recruiting experience and that, I've hired for a number of different teams and I can be able to provide you with this type of information. And here's the other thing. If they're reaching out to you and asking to charge you for a first call, do not reply. This should be a discovery call first. Like a free discovery call, 30 minutes. Like literally, I can go through someone's resume in 20 minutes. And if they're saying that they need like multiple hours to review their resume, they are not qualified to review your resume. Just straight up. Like I spend 20 minutes on a resume review. And I can do that in one session, one discovery call session, right? And I do that just for free. So that's my answer to that. Fiverr resume. Get out of here.
Get out of here.
Get out of here.
Thank you for that question, Anthony. And again, I'm going to continue on. So if you have questions, drop them in the chat. There's just looks like a couple more. If you feel comfortable and you want to send out your LinkedIn profile so that we can connect with each other, I think we can definitely keep the conversation going. You're going to hear from a lot of different coaches, and if there's someone that resonates with you and you're like, "Ooh, I want to hear more. Ooh, I want to reach out. Ooh, I want to connect and maybe dig in a little bit deeper," by all means, take advantage of it. So I'm going to move on to the next question. This is coming from Joe Smith, not Joseph yet. So it says, I just moved from LA to Houston last week. Congrats. And currently taking a data analytics course via Google. I'm excited about where this course can take me. I'm curious what's something I can read or study to supplement this course to help me stand out from the job market. Again, that is the name of the game right now. Standing out to Desiree, I saw you come off mute. Want to take that one?
So one of the books that I say is like almost my Bible to people that are new to tech is, or especially new to data, is Becoming a Data Head. It is a very easy, well, it is a very quirky read. It's full of sarcasm, which I generally love just because it's something that isn't trying to be overly technical. It's not trying to sell you a dream of, oh, you're going to read this book and you will be a data scientist. That's not going to happen. So that's not what the dream they're trying to sell you. But it teaches you the practicum of how to think in the logic of, like, for example, when you hear people talk about AI, right? Why AI? Why not ML? What's the reason of data, right? Like what's observational versus experimental, right? Because people will tell you, oh, I have the data that does this, this, and this. Yes, you can have all the numbers in the world, but if it doesn't point to a thing, you're just using an idea. You're not using a logic. And this is what this book teaches you, a logic, right? To where you can go through all of your past experiences on your resume and literally find different things of how you can rethink about that same project. Like, what's your KPI? How do you get from point zero, get from one place to another, right? And then what data can help you, or what things can help you understand that? Data is not just numbers, data is qualitative as well as quantitative. But when it comes to the idea of how we quantify something, that's where you have to lean onto your empathy, and also how does that lean into the person that you're seeking to serve, right? And so that's how you look at it. So what I would encourage you is to also, there's data analytics course via Google is good, but I do think Data Camp as something I've been referring out a little bit more, because Data Camp actually has it in shorter stints. I think sometimes when you're new to the data world, it gets overwhelming very quickly, right? And some things that are just like intuitive to me are not going to always be intuitive to the next. So you want something that works for you. So if that course you're taking seems like long-winded, that may not be the framework, right? Or Data Camp has a sale going on, or they have there's plenty of things out there that have coupons, especially if you're a person of color in tech. There's many different ways of how you can get that paid for. So just like be curious on what your learning style is, and then figure out how you can apply that to the things that you do.
Thank you, Desiree. All right, next question. This is
Can I
coming.
can
Oh
I
yeah, go ahead,
can I
Julian.
add something there?
Yeah, of course.
Just in terms of like, because I've hired a number of different data science teams, and I would say that if you're wanting to get into it now, understanding the flow of data is so important as well. So understanding data pipelining and all of those pieces of it. So I would highly recommend being able to look at how to be able to connect the back end to the front end, right? Where the data essentially is stored, but then where it's used. And so my recommendation is to familiarize yourself with the most cutting edge stacks that dev teams are using for the data. So one that comes to mind is Supabase. Is That's one. Desiree?
My pushback to you is, because we do raw, y'all, so this is going to be a little, we're going to get it how it happens.
Let's
All
go.
right.
Let's go.
Pushback to you is, you don't want to go to an extreme because you're going to get overwhelmed. That's why I say focus on the foundation. If you're new, Because there's plenty of people who talk to me about stacks and I fail them very easily in interviews. Like because I can tell that they're talking about buzzwords, and generally most technologists will hear buzzwords. And if you cannot explain it in detail, this is why the foundation is necessary. Because a lot data analytics, you're not coding very heavily. You're pulling, you're querying information. So this is where SQL comes in, right? And that's where you're going to be like focused. If you go too heavy too quick, your foundation is going to fall apart. And generally, because you're trying to build, it's like basically not understanding 1 + 1, but jumping to calculus. So make sure you have that solid foundation. Now, mind you, can you go to those things? Absolutely. But if you are new to data, you're not going to be doing AI. You're not going to be doing ML. You're not going to be coding in Python. That is not where you're going to be doing initially. When you first go into data analytics, you're going to be doing Excel, you're going to be doing SQL querying. So understanding what the purpose of Postgres, what is the difference between a Microsoft SQL? Those are very different things, and even the code is different. But you have to get yourself used to syntax, get yourself even used. That's why I said start with that book. That book doesn't jump into the code. That book jumps into how you think about it in a theoretical sense of things. And that is what you need sometimes more on the data side, because if you go too heavy too quick, you're going to jump on an interview using a lot of logic that you cannot do.
Gotcha. I want to just kind of jump in real quick just to bridge the two, because I think, yes, we're focused on a data specific example, but for those that are not in data, what they are saying is you need to be honest with where you're at, right? If you are in the beginning stages, you got to lay the foundation. If you are more advanced, more senior, more executive, put in the work to really get granular and have a focus and understand the numbers, the KPIs, the metrics that you can speak to and that you can drive and show value toward, right? So yes, we focus on a data example, but for all of y'all out there that have very different backgrounds, experience, expertise, that's what they're saying. So it really takes a moment for you to think about, where am I truly? Where am I really in my career journey? And how can I shape or pivot or adjust while I can, so that I am executing the most and showcasing the most value where I am today. You can always have a goal of where you want to be, but being honest about where you are now, and showcasing that and bringing that forward in your interviews, career journey, resume, LinkedIn, job search journey. All of it needs to be one holistic picture. But yes, okay, sorry. Back to you, Julie. Anything else you wanted to add?
Just to respond to that real quick. So love that, Desiree. Absolutely, 100% fundamentals. What's really interesting here is the backgrounds that I think. So I come from, right, and I'll just speak from my experience, which is startup landia. It's hacking things together. It's very much being very resourceful and figuring it out as you go and building the plane as you go. And yes, fundamentals, 100%. And just so you can know, like, my lens of things, it's like 0 to 1 teams and very early stage. And so that's why I was recommending, the more resourceful one is and the more informed they are about the various different components that are associated with how data is used, will be something that when I'm interviewing someone, I'm like, okay, all right, you know how Supabase works. You know how to be able to, like, you are at the up and up on what is going on. In terms of, but yes, in terms of like getting lost in the weeds on large language models and, like, working within AI and data and deep machine learning and deep learning. Yeah, no, don't do that yet. Stay in the fundamentals, 100%. Yeah.
So I
Oh,
see
go ahead. That's right.
Ashley's is touching on a similar thing.
Mhm.
I'll go ahead and take it. So one, you're a real estate agent. You deal with a lot of numbers, tons of numbers. How you're looking at them right now is probably not the same way of how I would look at them. Mainly because it goes back to foundation, right? right? So what gets you a sell? What do you need to understand about the market to be able to project a sell? How do you know trends? That is all data. Everything that is utilized in the CRM, and for buying a house, selling a house, look at Zillow's. Like, mind you, Zillow's interface is terrible. I wish they would change it, dear God. But that's my product lens on. But generally, a lot of all those numbers come from a place. It's based upon a logic, right? And it's based upon a theoretical logic of this will possibly happen if this happens. It's based upon a trend that has already been set at one point. So the first thing I think about is, if you're already a real estate agent, get quirky with it when you're talking about on your resume. How does your current job, how do you utilize data to be an effective real estate agent? Right? It's understanding, because mind you, you can prove data or understand data even by being an Uber driver. I've seen some really cool resumes in the startup world, right? To where I've seen some cool resumes when interns are coming in, to where they have used so many different backgrounds that can mean something completely different. But if they get quirky with it and they get understanding of how that logic is supposed to be, you can absolutely change that into something. And also, everyone on the call, get comfortable with hackathons. Hackathons are your best friend. You need experience. Most of y'all don't have what? Experience. And then you're like, well, I'm not working for free. Oh, that's beautiful. I love that for you. But guess what? You're going to be doing some work for the free if you're trying to get this certain thing. It's just mainly just, what do you want? What is your goal? Do you go to school for free? Yes, you go to school for free. No one pays you to go there. You pay for it. Hackathon is basically going to a thing or event that gets you a hand, foot on the ground experience for free. Are you going to be spending your time there? Yes, but this is up leveling. This is you putting money and time into yourself. Those things give you real life experience in a technical space, but also you're going to be merging around with different types of people, right? And when it comes to certs are great and dandy. Do we take all of them serious? No, we don't. Why? Because if you're going on the technical side, I don't care about a cert. I care if you can do it, right? And so anybody trying to come to the technical side of things, again, go back to foundations. One of the first things that I ask in an interview is, how does an ATM work? I can ask that question to literally any person on this call, no matter what your background is. And depending on what the role that you're seeking to acquire, every answer should be different. An engineer's perspective should be different. A product manager's person's perspective should be different. A UI UX person's perspective should be different. So it's more so an algorithmic way of thinking. Algorithm is just a bougie word for a recipe of how you think in an orderly structure to be able to present that information to other people.
I
So
love that.
maybe you switch
I
to
love
tech.
that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Real estate agent, absolutely. IBM, also, when you get your certs, where are they coming from? Where is IBM and Intel? Where are all these places in tech? So think about that logic. If you're Oracle, right? Even though Oracle is a beast at SQL, if you're not going to Oracle for SQL and you're going there for UI UX design, that cert means nothing, because I'm even looking at you like, why would go there? So be
Oh my
mindful.
God, really?
Yes, that stuff matters, because that means you haven't done your homework on what they specialize in. That stuff matters. It matters because if you are trying to get curious enough, I expect you to do the homework to know that information.
Sounds like we just had an aha moment. I'm gonna pause
Yes.
for a second. Let that sink in, let that marinate, because I think that was a good one too. Like, doing your research, understanding the source of where you're getting your information, and is it relevant? This is why I'm like so excited that we had this Q&A session, because again, these aha moments, this is what I live for. Like, this is what I'm like, okay, now we can uncover some things. Now we can start to take things to the next level. And then, Desiree, I wrote this down. You said an algorithm is a recipe, right? So I want to piggyback on that. And it's if for all the gamers out there, it's kind of gamifying like your recipe of what value you're bringing and what value you're presenting to the external world. And that can be in the form of your resume, your LinkedIn, how you go about doing your job search strategy, what information you share in the interview preparation. And to your point, Desiree, how does an ATM work? That question, I'm sure, doesn't come up for all of us, but thinking, how would I answer that question? If I would be stumbling or stuck or I haven't even thought about it, all of this is presenting your recipe back to the world, and have you got every step on lock? And so that's why I think a lot of us coaches here are like really like honing in on like very specific components, but you do also need to take a step back and look at the full picture too. What am I presenting? Is that what I want or should be presenting to the world? Does it make sense? Okay. All right. Other aha moments. Anybody else get a takeaway from that before we keep going on? Because I'm seeing lots of hearts and plus signs and thank yous, and I'm seeing it. Anyone else want to jump in and say their anecdote or share anything that kind of resonated with them? And if not, that's okay. We're all talkers. All these coaches are talkers. So we got plenty we can share.
I'll give a share since
Yeah.
my was as much as I'm seasoned, mind you, and I'm sharing this with y'all because we all go through it. As much as I am seasoned, I am at the point in my career where I have to go and take a different recipe to apply for jobs. Meaning, because I work in product, right? But I code. I have a very specific skill set, right? So being mindful that I can't always do a code call, right? Those are much easier for entry levels or junior, right? I have to literally work on building my network. I have to work on communicating with them frequently. I have to make sure that my face is out there sometimes. I have to make sure I'm leading bigger projects. All of these things are real. And then also let's slap on the thing of I'm Black. Yes, I am Black and also fair, because this is also something that I talk about with people who are mentoring with me is you are your own product, right? You are your own product. How you speak, how you carry yourself, how you look. Even though those isms shouldn't matter, we do not live in that construct. Those isms do matter, right? So how do you deal with those things in an interview? How do you convey across your across your resume that even though you're competing against people who have a Stanford background, and this is also me saying that I am from Third Ward, Houston, Texas, which is actually I'm from Sunnyside, but most people know Third Ward more than Sunnyside, but Sunnyside was before Third Ward. But anywho, so I am from an economically disadvantaged area, and I am my ancestors' wildest dreams. And that being said, I know that when I walk into a room, I do have other things that are going against me. I'm a woman. I'm a data scientist. I'm not a what is it, administrative assistant. I'm not all the things that they expect me to be, right? And then I'm Black. I didn't go to the Stanford. I didn't have all these upbringings and all this these scopes and mentorship. I didn't have any of that. I got scrappy and I figured it out. So that being said, you are competing against someone who does have all that. How do you compete? The way that my Google interview was probably the most unheard of situation, and I was even surprised myself. Google interviews through the full rounds take about 2 to 3 months. Mine happened in 3 weeks. I was not the traditional. I didn't seek to be the traditional because I knew as a product, as a human, that I am not the person that Google hires normally for technical roles. So when they asked, what is your favorite product? And how would you make it better? I said, how about I pick a product that you failed at and I'll tell you how I could have made it better. Understand what your gifts are. What are your gifts? What is your superpower? And how do you move beyond just your resume? Because all of us are going through it as we look through the job market. It's not easy. D&I basically doesn't exist anymore. Affirmative action is out the window. So you're not a requirement anymore. So how do you compete is something that you have to ask yourself as well. What is your superpower?
I love that. I definitely do, because it takes some work to think about who you are, where you've come from, what you're looking to accomplish, and what you're going to do to get over each hurdle as they come, right? Like We don't always have the opportunity to kind of take that one on the shoulder, and then we kind of fall and kind of go into our shell and then come out again and we figure it out and then we hit another hurdle. Sometimes we just got to keep going. That doesn't say that I'm not saying that to say don't take rest, don't take breaks, along the way, but don't sit in it, don't dwell in it, don't have a months long pity party because you didn't get the role that you wanted. What can you learn from not getting that role that's going to fire you up and get you going again? Because that personality needs to shine, not the person that's been like, I've been on my job search for like 4 or 5 months, I'm tired, I don't want to take another interview, and I don't, what you present to the world matters, right? What you present through the entire process matters. I do want to add, so we just have about 5 more minutes. We have one more question that came through from the chat, and I want to make sure that we get to it. So this is coming from Ray. Ray, thank you for your question. He's asking, or I'm not sure if it's man, woman, but they're asking ChatGPT best practices and keywords. So I know, Brian, you have some ChatGPT prompts that you can maybe help us out with, but on the keyword side, definitely on your LinkedIn profile, the companies are asking for specific skills. And you want to make sure that those skills are apparent in your LinkedIn profile and also your resume, because it's all about an algorithm. It's all about a recipe, and you're trying to match the recipe as closely as possible. If the recipe is calling for a lemon cake and you came out with like blueberry scones, you're not giving them what they want. It's a mismatch. So I want to talk about just making sure that those keywords are present. You can look to the JD or job description for anecdotes or insights around what keywords you should be plugging into your resume. And this also goes around getting focused. If you're applying to a bunch of different roles under the sun that require different skills, different X, Y, and Z, because they don't even match. Like if you're doing marketing, and I'm gonna pick on real estate because they're two totally different things. Though the skills, yes, you can do transferable skills all day long, but what your resume, your LinkedIn, your job search, all of that's going to be impacted because now you're splitting yourself. So now you got to do twice the work because you haven't decided what to focus on, if that makes sense. And so now your resume, if you really want to go for that role as a data scientist, it needs to scream data science. Above the fold, and your LinkedIn profile needs to scream data scientist, right? And all of that, like keeping that banner blank, yeah, that is not doing y'all any good deeds here. Okay, fill out your LinkedIn. It prompts you on ways you can improve your profile so that recruiters can find you too. It's a two-way street, right? So give them what they're asking for. Be focused so they can find you. It's not just all on you and you're applying to 100+ jobs a week and you're like, I still ain't got nothing. And so that's kind of one of the takeaways that I wanted to get there. Thank you, Brian, for dropping in the ChatGPT ebook page. Y'all click on that link. It has some prompts in there that's going to save y'all some time. Use the free resources, okay?
Yeah, just want to use this moment to drop our academy too. There's a free course, and on the second lesson, it's about LinkedIn optimization, how to set up your profile, how to start ranking for the keywords. This is the same exact blueprint we use to break into these big tech companies. So take advantage of the resources here, and we're in there as well.
He used to be a recruiter, y'all. Listen to this man. He knows what he's talking about. So we have about a minute left. I do want to be cognizant of folks' time. And just before people start to hop off, I do want to say thank you so much for coming. I'm so glad that you've come here. You were brave and courage, and had the courage to ask your questions. I hope that you had some takeaways and some more aha moments throughout this process. We want to keep this going. We want to build a bigger community and continue to offer the diverse perspectives, because guess what, we're not all like one cookie cutter person. So we have to bring about the pieces of us that make us unique, make us shine, that unicorn, that superpower. That's what we're really trying to bring about by having these discussions with you. Other coaches out there, I know I've been talking a lot. Is there anything else you wanted to add before we hop off?
No, I'm happy to stay on longer.
Same here actually.
For anyone that, has any pressing questions, we do like a Q&A off the audience, off the cuff, I'm happy to do that. But yeah, thank you so much for having the opportunity and running this session, Ariel.
Of course, of course. I'm so glad. Well, I'm staying on because I can't stop talking. So,
Amazing.
so coaches, I just want to do so while we still have people, it looks like we didn't have many drop-offs at all. Again, drop in your LinkedIn if you want to connect with other folks that are on this session today. I wanted to ask, kind of go back to it, ask the coaches if there is another piece of advice that you think that job seekers should know in this market, as challenging, as unforgiving, as nitpicky, as all of the words as it is. What is one kind of piece of advice or two, one or two pieces of advice that you think folks should know?
Be kind to yourself.
Mhm.
Yeah, be kind to yourself. Have a lot of grace. Have a lot of patience. Coaches also need coaches, and like that's why we all need a Desiree or Ariel in our life to kind of ground us, to remind us our superpowers, because they'll ask you those questions. Because sometimes when you do interviews and you go back and you're like, okay, let me reset, let me get this done. But if no one's asking you the right questions to get you better or to understand who you are as a person when you're showing up for these interviews, like that's not going to help you. And that's why it's so important to come to these meetings and surround yourself with the right people to help you get there.
Agreed. Agreed.
Same.
Yeah, I was going to say, get out there. Get out from your computer and get out into the community. Go volunteer. Go to hackathons. I love that Desiree said that. Go to networking events. And if there's social anxiety or something else that comes up around I'm not worthy, allow that to be there as well. Because guess what? You're probably not the only one who's feeling that way. And also, the thing about it is that fear loves the freeze. So the best way to address fear is to act. So act from that place. So that's my recommendation.
Just to piggyback off everyone, in addition to that, it's time to focus on building your own brand and genuine connections above all, right? Like as advancement in technology goes on, the core foundation of it is still people, connections. Who do you know? What are you branded for? Can I vouch for you for a referral? If I stick my neck out for you, are you going to do a great job? Right?
Mhm.
So, start making intros, get out there for
Yeah,
sure.
definitely. And I would say the networking doesn't stop once you actually land your job. Keep it going. Check in. I've had folks throughout my career, they saw my post and they're like, "Oh my God, you're doing this. This is great." And I'm like, "I haven't talked to you in like 6 years, my God." And I picked up exactly where I left off. How are your kids doing? How are the fur babies? Like that all is part of the whole picture. And I would say my piece of advice is always think of your holistic self, right? Like take your breaks, take your time, be gentle with yourself, you know, take a step back, but then when it's time to hustle and go hard, you do what you got to do, right? You can have the overnighters if that's what you want to do, but always think of your entire self, and you don't have to, when people like, "I don't like to post." Oh my God, I don't want to post on LinkedIn. What do I say? Like just, I'm doing this certification. I'm really proud of myself for taking this next step in my career. Easy. You could put that in Chat GPT to make it all fancy and using all the copywriting formats and stuff like that, but get out there, let people know what you're doing, let people know what your interests are, because if you don't put it out there, you waiting on one-to-one conversation, that's not going to do you any good. Connect. So I saw a couple more questions come in. So Shweta, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. How much do we tailor our resume to the job description? Any strategies? Ooh, I see some head nods. Brian, you want to take that one?
I mean, I just posted something on my LinkedIn regarding using AI, ChatGPT, to kind of tailor your current experience and the job description and the next role that you're trying to apply to. I'll go ahead and drop that in. But I'd say what most people do is they apply to multiple different roles and they think they're applying, but their efforts are not focused. So with unfocused efforts, you're going to get those unfocused results, right? Versus, hey, this whole month, I'm going to apply to data analyst roles, and my resume and my profile is going to scream data analyst. That's a way better approach versus like, I'm going to apply for project management, data analyst, TPM, and all these other different roles. And then you're getting discouraged because you're getting rejection for, this unfocused effort. So I'd say use this prompt that I'm about to link you right here. And you can go ahead and download that as well from the ChatGPT prompt, and then just stay focused. Get a accountability partner, mentor, coach, and just stay focused in applying to those roles with an optimized resume. And here's the prompt.
Cool. Thank you for dropping that in. Next question from Izzy. What's the best way one can address a gap in their employment on their resume that the example is less than 3 years? Oh, Julian, yeah. I'll chime in on that too. Go ahead.
Well, just a clarification for us to answer that question, Izzy, if you don't mind, either putting in the chat or putting yourself off mute, and just providing context around what was that gap. Was that gap because of a personal break? Was that what was the context? That will help a lot.
Sorry, can you guys hear me? It's super loud out here.
Yeah.
So in my personal case, it was job seeking. I got laid off at a pretty tough time for tech. So a lot of it was job seeking. I did take a little bit of time off to do some creative endeavors and spend time with family. And I did a few contract gigs, but honestly, mostly it's been about a 2-year gap since the last not contract position I've had. So yeah, not really like family or medical, not necessarily like medical or anything major like that, but mostly kind of like job seeking and then kind of like, being in and out of contract jobs.
Got it. And this was so I'm looking at your resume right now. So this was Alam Research, and then that was to present. So that was
Alam is a contract. Oh, you're quick. Alam is a contract position.
I'm a recruiter.
Yeah, is a contract position. I'm talking kind of about match because I was like Alam
Got it.
contracts me on and off.
Perfect. Okay, great, excellent. All right, here's the answer. So since 2022, right? You have been a consultant. And you have been a product management consultant, and you have had various different client projects and engagements that you've worked in. So group that under one type of consulting, and then put Alam Research and put Glass under that, and put 2022 to present. And that's the easiest, that's the cleanest way to do it. And you could even put product management advisor if you want to do that, or whatever wording you want to use. But that's my recommendation.
Okay, awesome. Because I guess my concern was just because they'd contract me for a month here, a couple months here.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
I can just do that block like 2022 to
just block
present,
it. Just
whatever.
block it. 2022 to present, and then you just put it under your own consultancy.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I like your drip too.
All right, we got another question that came in. I definitely agree with Julian on that approach as well. Like if you can block it in, like make a time block on your resume, on your LinkedIn that shows that you actually were providing value, weren't just like kicking back. But even if you were, hey, do your thing. Making sure that there is, some fluidity in your approach to your work. So the question we got, Dr. Tanisha, how do you combat nervousness despite having confidence in interviews? So I want to start off with that. So I used to be a nervous interviewer. And that's because I didn't know the framework of what would be asked of me. Therefore, I didn't know what to prepare and what to say, right? So it's kind of like coming up with your own script. So I talk a lot about your pitch. So introducing yourself. It should not be this long, like soapbox diatribe of like who you are, the value you've brought, and all of this. It should be very succinct and knowing like your pitch should be between 30 seconds and a minute. Having also, so y'all, I used to live in spreadsheets. I still kind of do, to be honest. I wrote down some key, so for every job that I had, I wrote down the key experiences where I've led projects or I've, provided value. I turned this around, process improvement, creative frameworks implementation. And I jotted those down in a spreadsheet, right? And based on the JD or job description, I would tailor which story I would tell. And I knew those stories because I did it. Like I was like, I built CPQ from scratch in 3 months. That was unheard of for the size of company and the amount of customers we had. I did it in that normally takes 6 months. It took me 3, with help, of course. I had a team, but I led the charge on that. Oh, really? Tell me more. You almost kind of want to create this like y'all gonna miss out, if you will, while you're interviewing too, because you're like, I've got all this value, I've proven myself in these ways. And so for the confidence piece, I think it comes with practicing. If you're practicing, honestly, with the wrong folks, you just kind of saying it over in your head, you're not getting it out, you're not working out the keywords that you might want to slot in, then that comes across as like lacking confidence, and then that can maybe be a ding against you during your interview prep or even during the actual interview itself. So I think a lot of it goes with practice, and then some of it has to also go with like, are you getting feedback from the right people? As a coach, I would have to, I'm here to lift you up, but before we do that, we have to be honest with each other. If you don't have your background, your Zoom background, and all of this is playing, like these are little nitpicks, but they can add up, right? If you got a load of laundry behind you while you're trying to interview, not a good look, right? If you've got, noise and all this other stuff happening, distractions and things like that, not a good look. I'm gonna call it out, right? So like that's part of being honest with yourself and saying like, look, I need to practice, but am I practicing and using my time wisely? Otherwise, for this job that I really want, my confidence isn't going to come through, and I'm a drop the bag. My shot is over. How you gonna shoot your shot and you ain't really practice? So that's what I have to say on the confidence piece. Other coaches, coming up on top of the hour. Anyone else want to address how you have overcome feeling a lack of confidence while you're interviewing or otherwise?
Man, I'm chomping at the bit, but I've already spoken a lot, so I'm gonna give some
No worries.
space.
I know Desiree had to jump off, so no worries there. But go ahead, yeah.
Okay, real quick. So first of all, it's about the phrasing. That's the first thing that's standing out to me is uh Tanisha is the combat nervousness. Combat is already taking a battling approach. That's a bad thing. The thing about it is that nervousness is anxiety that's in the body. And it's an anxious feeling about being nervous about something that you want. And so being able to just be with the nervousness, and that's easier said than done. 100% that's easier said than done. So what I like to do is I like to use, there's various different methodologies here, but one of them that I really like to do is EFT. Tanisha, do you know about EFT, emotional focus therapy, tapping?
Yeah,
I'm not
got
sure
it.
if you like put that. Oh, okay, cool, perfect, excellent. So what I like to do is I like to do a little tapping before I even go into the interview, and I will say, if I don't get this interview or if I don't get this job, I will still be okay. If I don't get this job, I will still be okay. And by doing that, I'm essentially allowing my body to re-regulate, right? Because anxiety is that fear. It's like, oh my God, there is a threat to my existence, to my livelihood. And the fact is that like job seeking is one of the most stressful things that you can go through. And if you won't get that job, you'll get the next one. Like I want to be careful here because we're all in our own different circumstances. But just being able to even share that with the body is helpful to be able to be with that nervousness. And the last thing I'll say about it is anxiety can also be excitement. And so that can be nervous excitement for being on display. So play with that. Play with that excitement. And be like, okay, all right, let's do it differently this time. So those are my 2 recommendations.
Thank you, Julian. I think that's an excellent perspective. Thanks. There was something that came in from Ralph. He said, wanted to add a note for frameworking for your answer in order to provide structure and give yourself an off ramp if you get sidetracked. That happens. I get wordy. If you can refer back to earlier steps of the framework and get yourself back on track. So again, you're practicing kind of the structure of how you want the interview to flow. Like, to be quite honest, like, you can direct that conversation how you want. Desiree gave an amazing example of, like, they gave her a question to ask and she said, let me tell you a product that failed and what I could have did about it. Like, flip the script, right? And so that was a way to, like, really go back into the structure that she was already comfortable with. Now, if they come back to you and still say, well, we still want you to answer that question, then you answer the question. But again, now that gives you 2 points so that you're showcasing, like, well, I can think outside of the box. I can tell you, like, this is what I've been thinking about your team, product, blah, 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 and also answering their question too. So I'm hoping that helps. Pri said, can you expand more? Please, I like that approach. Pri, if you feel comfortable, you come off mute. And did you want to add any more anecdotes to that? If you wanted more, I know we're right over the 1 hour time.
Yes, sorry about that. I joined in a little late, so I'm not sure what Ralph was talking about in terms of the framework. What kind of framework do you keep handy, like when you are, let's say, on a phone conversation with an HR person?
Gotcha. So I was just giving an example of, like, how you kind of have that 30 to 45-minute conversation. It's pretty standard. The first calls are pretty standard. Like, they're asking, like, you basically want to start with your pitch, who you are, your value you've presented, 30 seconds to 1 minute for your pitch. And then you kind of understand the sequence of questions they're going to ask you in that initial phone screen, because again, you want to entice them, you want them to be interested in you, to bring you forward, to be able to meet the team, meet the hiring manager. And so I talked about living in spreadsheets and having very key examples of experiences where I've led the charge, I've completely revamped a process, created a framework, had KPIs that I could speak to that my team actually delivered upon, and how we did it, our magic, the unicorn of us, and then what my specific role was in that as well, to have so that as your kind of backdrop to be able to prepare for the what you're presenting in the interview process. So that's kind of your framework or structure. And then we had Desiree on, she had to jump off. But she also talked about a way that she could redirect certain questions that were asked of her to be able to show a different kind of viewpoint, to also make her stand out in the talent pool as well, from the very, very beginning, the first call. So that's what we were talking about a little earlier.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Okay, so let me see. So, all right, nothing else on the chat. I know we had a few people drop, but I do want to say again, thank you so much for joining. We are hoping to have more discussions like this, where we are going to keep it real with you. We want you to ask us those tough questions, those burning questions, because we know they're out there. I want you to know that you are not alone in this job search process. Like, things are crazy whack, fill in the blank, but you are definitely stronger than the storm. I wore my stronger than the storm shirt today. You can keep going. You can keep persisting. I want to give you that feel good energy that you need. It's hump day. We're almost at the end of the week, y'all. But just to keep going, and I encourage you all to connect with us as coaches, as one another. Keep the conversation going. Brian dropped in a ton of resources with the school academy. We also had Julian and Joseph jump on with us as well to offer their insights. So again, stay connected with us, ask those questions, and again, let's continue to build the community and get through this crazy job market together. Okay, y'all.
Awesome. Thank you. See ya,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye.
Thank you,
Everyone.
everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.